single. I don't have children. And people ask me like, what happened? And I'm a heterosexual woman, right? And so it's like, well, a couple things happened. I think first and foremost, I always say I spent too much time on the wrong relationships. That is, I tell any young woman, get in and get out. It's
Get
the
in and
OG
get out.
classic.
That's
That's
an
what Jay Z
OG
said.
classic.
That's what Jay Z
So
said.
Now you're speaking the language.
Right?
Now you're
And you
speaking
get
the
in, you
language.
get out. If it works, great. If it doesn't, move on as quickly as possible, right? Learn the lesson, forgive, and move on. So I didn't necessarily do that as often as perhaps I should have. But I also think, being, creating a space to date and explore. Women that are driven in their careers
They don't have time.
tend to forget
Well,
about
that's
how
another-
intentional you need to be about
That's
dating.
another thing. I'm glad you said that. They don't have time.
They don't have time. They don't make time.
They don't make the time.
They don't make the
Different.
time.
They have the time. They don't make the time.
They don't make it because it
don't
gets
have it.
exhausting, right? When you're constantly coming up against the men that may not be equally yoked.
What's happening, fam? This is gonna be like career woman or career single, or a single career, whatever you want to call it. So I'm gonna start from the end of what the woman said, about not being equally yoked and that being an issue. In a general sense, would y'all consider equally yoked? Men are normally in situations that are not equally yoked with women. And I think what happens is sometimes you women get to a certain position or place in life, and then it's like, oh, I'm not equally yoked, so this can't work, or you know, you're not a good look, or this is beneath me. And it's like, all right, I mean, that's not a hang up that men have. If he's smarter than her, if he's more accomplished than her, if he works harder than her, if he earns more than her, it's like, okay, yeah, it is what it is. Not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Not a big deal. Not a huge deal in that scenario. But when you ladies get to that point, it's just y'all make it bigger than what it is. Now, I'll say this. And I think this is one of the issues. I think some of you don't realize, some of you might be smart corporate, like corporate smart, even like uh, book smart, school smart, but um, don't see a guy that's quote unquote, we're not equally yoked because I'm smarter than him, but he can do pretty much everything that can facilitate in your world outside of work. Because you're going to be off from work longer than you're going to be at work. So that becomes an issue. Now, going back to the beginning of it, sometimes you're not making time. And what I see now, partially that soft girl era thing, and you see a lot of women who are like, man, I made the wrong choice. I chose a career over family. And here's the thing, men are not, that's not our fault. You get what I'm saying? That's not our fault. And I think what happens is it's looked at different because our gender roles are different. So you say if a man goes into the working world, not just corporate America, and he works a lot, and the wife, mother is home raising the kids and taking care of the kids, it's like, okay, he's doing his part, she's doing her part, and the man does come home and do other things. So but I think women get into that issue, and it's like, you want to work and be the breadwinner, fine. But then you get upset when you got to come home and be the mother. And it's like, well, but you don't want the father to be, home being the nurturer, right? So that's a problem for you. So it's like, okay. And the reason I bring it up, and I'm going to say this because people like to racialize a lot of things. I've seen most men, not most men, I've seen men in pretty much every community be a house husband, and house husbands aren't really respected by the world generally and by women generally. So you don't want a guy in that position because now all of a sudden you're super unequally yoked because you're the one doing the bringing home the bacon, right? So that's another thing. And the reason I got to bring that up is because that's unattractive to women if a woman has to bring home the bacon. But at the same time, if a man has to bring home the bacon, it's normal. But then if you both are bringing home the bacon, all of a sudden you're too good to be a wife and mother too because I do just as much as you, yada yada yada. So um, that leaves people with that mentality chronically single because ultimately you don't want to work for or with anybody unless it's the company you're working for. And most men don't understand that because we got a job, a career, or whatever, and we can still balance work life, even when we work overtime, even when we're overworked, we can still balance the two. And I think you ladies can't. And here's the thing that I'm gonna say this um, because I think it's necessary. I think the time part of it, women feel like they don't have enough time, and I think part of y'all issue is your beauty ritual. So you don't complain about the time you waste getting your hair done, or the time putting your makeup on, or the time getting dressed. You don't complain about the hours and hours of time that you're wasted in your beautification rituals, and you really don't do them. You put a it's like work life balance, then it's beauty routine balance, and then it's dating life or family balance. And guys don't have that. Like we shortened our grooming routine, and it's pretty short. So, but we can um, while you're quote unquote getting ready, we can literally, you know, get ourselves ready, go run some errands and do some chores, and by the time you go, oh, I'm done. It's like, oh, okay, you're good. So it even in a corporate sense, it looks like you have bad time management. You don't have bad time management when you get to work on time and it's that the third, but or on the job, but it's like you have bad time management outside of that. You know what I'm saying? So you made it a career out of getting ready for your career and not necessarily getting ready for your significant other. So that's an issue. And as they say, you can't you don't you say you don't have time, but they'll say you're not making time. And that's the thing, you don't make time well. And I say that because I don't think you ladies take into consideration how many things men have done with and for women when we were dog tired. You know what I'm saying? So we were exhausted, but you know what? I got it. You still want to go out? Cool. You still need this done? Cool. You still need some support? Cool. You know, we just don't. We really don't. Generally, we don't complain about it. We don't even bring it up. We'll get in. We'll get in where we fit in. But so we have two different approaches to that, and the reason I say that is because um, a working man and a working woman are both working. So there comes a point where it's like, what are we talking about? Like, yeah, I got a job, you got a job, yeah. So now all of a sudden, outside of these occupations, the only time you can get it together and be on board is if the man is making an extravagant event out of whatever he's doing for you. It's like that becomes an issue. We got to go here, we got to go there, we got to go this. And then sometimes I'm gonna tell you this. sometimes y'all not good company at those places, and y'all make those experiences bad too because of just the tardiness. You know, you don't waste time at work, but you waste men's time outside of work, which means you wind up being single because it's like, damn, you got, oh, okay, you can be on time to work, but if I say we going out at 7 o'clock, 7:45 to 8:30 is when we're gonna really be there. It's like, no, that's not cool. Um, but generally speaking, when it comes to that career stuff, it looks like a career woman is seasonal. You get what I'm saying? It's like, oh, I did it. Now I did it. Oh, I did it. Yeah. It doesn't look like, generally speaking, it doesn't look like nowadays that you chose a career that you wanted to do and you're doing that and you get an enjoyment out of it. And it's like, no, it looks like, okay, I went on a 10-year run in my career. I just want a man now. And it's like, and it doesn't make sense to guys like, what? You could have had a man in the career. What is it? What are you doing? And it's like, now I'm a career woman, but I need to find a man who's equal, who I can see is equally yoked, so he can take care of me while I don't want to be a career woman anymore. And it's like, that's one of the issues with that working woman scenarios is unfortunately when y'all working women get with men, generally speaking, you get lazy. You know, all of a sudden you need to rest and he needs to do double time for you. But if you but you're saying doing something for him is it takes too much effort and it's too much to do and he's being extra and it's like, man, y'all tripping. I think you just don't have the same amount of effort when it comes to men that you do your quote unquote careers. And if you're gonna quit the careers that you were so into, guys are like, yeah, you quit me too. You know, seems normal. Seems like that's a normal reaction. But I'm gonna leave it at that. Tell me what y'all think. Catch you on the next one. Peace.